part 2 of our interview with Dr. Jessie Vallejo.
And the Lord is, I think, raising your hand, but the camera's a little blurry. Yeah.
So I was thinking about this. What is there anything like or a possibility of a like a librarian of music kind of degree that would be able to be set up? I think that would be even more. It would be more. How do I say it? It'd bring more different music from each region and each culture, and these people could basically study country by country instead of like the global. Because I remember having the world history class of music, and you get like a week of Indian music, you get a week of African music, you get a week of the entirety of Asia. And it's like, oh, you have so many different cultures and so many different types of people there, and you can't get a good sense of it within a week or in a day. And we have to buy a book that's what, like 27 chapters long, read the whole thing, and then get an idea that people existed somewhere because of their music.
Which I never liked. I don't assign textbooks unless we use 100% of them.
God bless you.
Which we did in World of Music, right? And then
Yeah.
I guess like we have some type of open access thing where like if students sign up, they get like a package. So like I put a book on there that I want to use in a couple weeks. But like I told the students, if you're not part of that package, like don't bother getting it, because I do like reading groups or whatever. But yeah, textbooks are another thing that's, if somebody's teaching something that and they don't have some of the experience to kind of like make it easy to set up their class, like I get why people use textbooks, but yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm a co-editor of this website called worldmusictextbook.org, and we're basically using grant money to pay people to write an open access textbook that can be far more interactive. It's a little slow because it took Cal Poly 2 years and 2 months to cut the payments for the first 2 publications. So there have been a lot of like staffing issues in the behind the scenes offices, and lack of training and things.
Is that a plug? Can you give us that website and that link so we can post it on our socials?
Yeah.
Music text. And this is something where like, people don't have to have a doctorate to submit something. Somebody who wants to submit like a, what could an introductory textbook like article 2,000 words look like that could be interactive even for MIS, after you've been out in the field and thinking about like skills you still use even if your jobs have kind of like shifted, right?
That's amazing.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I didn't answer your initial question, Adam, but now I'm trying to remember what it was and I can't remember.
A library of like a music librarian type of degree or something like that being available.
So our new degree, so after 2018 we switched the semesters. We have the BA in General Studies, and I think some people in the department, we tried to agree that we wouldn't do this, but some people treat a BA in General Studies for music as like the music light degree. For me, it's like you take that degree because you want to take a lot of other electives that round out what you want to do. Somebody who wants to do ethnomusicology, somebody like might take anthropology classes or ethnic studies classes, like additional ones in there because they have more elective units. Somebody who really wants to do music therapy might take like kinesiology and more science. So I feel like that it for a master's, it makes sense. And so usually if you get your degree in library science, you need a master's. So I think having an undergrad program that's like general enough where somebody can come in, go through the few years, figure out what they want to do, and have the skill set where they can apply to that master's is really what I think we're doing a best, like, what do I say, that our department could be stronger at, and I think makes more sense for how the job markets shift, because narrowing it too much at the undergraduate level can make it difficult to kind of deal with the changes in time of like the MIS degree graduates might be doing something very different even 10 years from now. So I think like leaving it a little more broad um, can be helpful.
So
Sorry, go
my
ahead.
bachelor's in banjo making was a little too specific. Is that
I
what you're
haven't seen
telling
you
me?
make a single banjo.
He started on the strings, but never finished the actual body.
And now I have my instrument building class, but it took
Oh,
me forever
yeah.
to do that. Yeah, my
Tell us
organology
about
class.
that. Yeah,
Wait,
that's awesome.
hold on. I need to address it. We do have a chat that I'm monitoring.
Sure.
Because I do want to touch on the instrument building. That's in my
Yeah.
notes.
Okay.
But Braden Wiggins says the music industry is also changing as fast as the internet changes. How can universities even try to keep up? I'm pretty sure that might be like a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
But he says like it's literally changed significantly since I was even in school. So you were our professor when we were in school, and you're still an instructor. How have you seen the internet change how things are done in that time? Thank you, Braden.
Definitely with like the communication or like the ways that, with Zoom, just the different possibilities of, I guess, well, I'm not recording or doing a lot of the production side very often. So I feel a little bit like I'm not the best person to ask about that, but I think that there are all sorts of new programs. There's a lot of like free programs that, what was it? Not Harmony, Acapella. That Acapella app, and now that even feels dated, right? But there are all these things that I think come out that, um, it serves all of us to kind of try to stay at least a little bit up to date. But you get a lot of music faculty who are like, they need to practice piano. They need, I need to practice my violin more. I wish I practiced more. So it can be a little bit difficult. I think this is where I feel like just making sure you all have as strong of a foundation in music and actually in musicianship, music theory, performing in some way, you will have the understanding of music to apply that to whatever apps, to whatever programs, because if you have a good ear, like you can make something sound the way you want it with the tools that are developed later on, right?
That's true.
So that would be my like best answer to that. But
so don't go so specific as you would in Diddy's Flavor Camp. Go broad and
ooh. I don't know.
No, don't compare me to that.
I don't know. Have you been reading the news?
Did you say Flavor Camp?
Yep, Flavor Camp.
Now they just got OJ flavored.
No.
Too soon?
Okay. I think Braden had another comment, right?
Wait, making music? I mean, making instruments?
Yeah, making instruments.
Thank you.
We're going to sidestep that. So my music instrument class.
It's the sharks in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Stopping the news.
But my music instrument building class, that's like one of the classes that wasn't on the books. I totally made up based on like what I sort of took in grad school and what I wish I could have taken as an undergrad. It's basically like I walk students through, from an ethnomusicological perspective of like concepts about instruments. And we talk about everything from sustainability to like issues with making instruments more accessible for somebody who might have different, needs, different impairments, different, whatever. And so they have to make 4 instruments over the semester. And they do readings and reflect on it. So I help them with like the intellectual side. I take them to places on campus where we can collaborate with the STEM side. So we have the student idea innovation labs and the makerspace studio that's new in the library, or newish, a few years ago, where students, they have the tools, they have laser cutters and all sorts of things to make instruments. And so they have to make like a recycled instrument, which is kind of like low stakes. It's like, see what you have laying around the house, turn it into an instrument. Wow. Then they have to do an Arduino theremin, or like they can get fancier. Like a lot of the STEM majors, they could do stuff, I don't have time to learn. I can't take a class in like Raspberry Pi, and maybe one day I will, but I haven't yet. So I do the light sensitive like pseudo theremin, but they can I give them directions where they can follow. And like one student made a theremin out of 2 old radio sets, which is really cool.
Dang.
That's cool.
And then they have I tried doing this other woodworking instrument this year, but then some students finished it. I got to revamp how I want to do that project, but there's this thing called a daxophone, Daxophone. And I really want to try to force them to do something with the woodcutters, but there's a lot of training to that. So
I gotta look this up. A daxophone.
some of the
Ooh.
recordings are pretty cool. You
It's an
can make your
electric-
own. There's so many different pieces.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and then
You play it with a bow.
yeah.
No strings or
I'll
air
put
columns.
a picture in the chat.
So I
Look at
realized
this
that
segue.
that
Side.
what I have to do with the class is like I probably have to make the clamps because we couldn't. I just bought some clamps. I tried to find like an easy way to do it, and so it just sounds very screechy on like the desks. So it didn't turn into like the beautiful music we wanted to make. And then their final project is whatever they'd like to do. So I've had students. Do you remember Jordan Rivera?
Yeah.
He made a prototype of an organ made out of cardboard and a used bookshelf. And
What?
He was always a really bright kid.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Wait,
yeah,
a prototype out of a used bookshelf?
he had like a bookshelf and he was like cardboard. He was trying to like work with materials and like recycled things to find ways to make really expensive instruments that he wanted to play that more affordable. And so and then he also like he wanted to work on like a hurdy-gurdy and things like that. So it's funny because I know of at least 2 students, Jordan and one other student, who took that class, and now both of their mothers have told me I've created monsters of like they just collect all these instruments now. And I basically like gave them a whole field of study that like validates their like instrument collection, like
Yeah.
You
I
created
remember-
a musical Willy Wonka.
yeah.
Like Jordan would have just some ancient instruments. He came on one day. I remember he spent a week playing the crumb horn. We're like, can
Yeah.
we stop playing the crumb horn? Can we?
It's pretty amazing though. Like
It's a cool instrument. It's grating, but I think I wonder, is he still? He's not there anymore. But like, does he still come and talk? I don't know.
I saw him not that long ago. And I know he was helping in one workshop with one of the guest speakers I had, Curtis Barak,
Hmm.
from who does harpsichords and hurdy-gurdies in downtown LA.
Okay.
But I'd have to see if I still have him on Facebook or anything like that. But yeah, he's been around a little bit. I know we have to have like some type of an alumni gathering and try to get people to come back.
4 more years till our 10-year.
I know it goes by fast. I'm almost. No, when did I graduate? I graduated 2007, so I'm getting closer to 20 years, which is scary.
From college?
From college, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
No,
thought
I-
you were saying high school. It's like, I am older than you then.
No, that's been 21 years. So yeah.
There you go.
Thanks for the compliments on the site, by the way. Our co-editor Chris Witolski, who actually makes his own banjos, he and I know him from Crane. We were in a string quartet together my first year, but he runs it on Notion, and I should know the other. But it basically loads from the back end, so it loads everything. That's why it's super quick. But he's really good at like coding and things like that. And I might try to learn more on my sabbatical. I keep trying to learn during the semesters and summers, but I never have time. So, but
So-
he's great. He's wonderful at that.
It's awesome. And is this kind of like an open source article? Like what's the sum it down? Give me a one sentence on like what purpose and what it is.
We wanted to make an open source digital like free textbook that could be also appealing to the general audience. So we also don't like how like in a textbook there's like the one person who always writes about Ecuador, for example, right? There's just one author who's work is listed in like 3 different world music textbooks. And so we wanted to make sure that it's more modular. So we could have 20 articles on gamelan because there's all sorts of different things to talk about gamelan. We don't want one definitive general article on anything. We want to make it where people can like kind of build their own course and build their own textbook and find a way to like write things in shorter chapters and have questions and kind of link things. So somebody could have a Latin American class using this platform. Somebody could have like looking at nationalism and then pick from different examples. But it's still newish, and the payment system has been really slow. So I'm trying to work through that because I feel like 80% of my job has just been tracking down payments, and there haven't been that many. So there are a lot of people in offices who know me. Like I'm notorious now because I'm trying to get these people paid, and so that's fun.
It's a great resource. It's a beautiful site. I can't wait to like jump into it. It's really like well thought out, well planned. Very, very well done. That's awesome. Amongst the million other things that you're doing.
Thanks. Well, definitely, Christina and Chris have been doing a ton of work on the like what you see side for sure. They're handling a lot of the stuff while I fight for the payments, and it's nice to get involved in projects you really believe in and that you really value. So, and that are fun.
It seems like a lot of the things that you advocate for, teach. This is a perfect example. Your instrument making class is a perfect example. Are things that you wish you would have had when you were coming up. Um, am I off on that, or do you like? It's like a lot of the things that you are like instilling in students is seems like stuff that you wasn't around, like wasn't here, so I built it.
Yeah, I think, there are moments. I'm the type of person where like I'll take notes. I have like little files or like notebooks where like if I have ideas, I'll write them down. Um, and as I'm going through something, if I hit a lot of roadblocks or if I have whatever inspiration, I think like, oh, that would be cool. And then if I get it to a point where I have the ability to do something, then I think like, well, why not? I mean, I know that there's a certain level of, we all probably like we all basically identify as millennials, right? But like we all feel jaded that like we don't have a lot of influence over things we would really like for, global politics. Like I would love to have free healthcare here and not be bombing civilians anywhere and supporting peace missions everywhere. Like, so obviously we don't all have control over that, but we can put our voices out there and try to do our best. But a lot of the world is like our immediate surroundings are run by the people who show up, who goes to city council meetings, who goes to pick up garbage in the park, who goes to like a faculty meeting and says, you know what, I'll write that curriculum. Like I'm probably the only ethnomusicologist who wrote the performance level jury structure for a program.
Wow.
Because we needed one with NASM. So, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to make sure I rewrote the rules and I made sure that mariachi fit into it, and that mariachi is now a model that any world music, like any non like European classical music, could fit into. So if somebody came in after me and taught Filipino music, they could model it off of something very similar. So I do think that a lot of times, if you want to make the world a better place, even if it's just your neighborhood, like you roll up your sleeves, you show up. And so that's sort of what has been my approach whenever I have just enough sleep or caffeine to get me through it. So
It's a way to get through like the kind of like hellscape of like being bombarded of reality, like we only have control over the things that are tactile within your reach, and I think it's just a good way to like good way to live your life. But yeah, thank you. It's an important lesson, and thank you for the reminder.
yeah, no problem. It's nice to remind ourselves that there's plenty of beautiful things in the world and in life that, despite all the problems, like, I don't know, it can still be exciting to wake up and plan your day.
And music is one of those things.
And it gets you through a lot. So
Yes.
got me through a lot. That's
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
And I do have to say, like, from performing with the during the pandemic, I almost went into science. I kept thinking at the beginning of the pandemic, like, maybe I should have chosen a different career. Maybe I could have made more of a difference in the world if I had pursued science. Bristol Myers Squibb was trying to like recruit me into the sciences. Like I had a lot of attention from science recruiters all through high school, right? And so um, I thought about it, but then when I got to when it got to be later in the pandemic, there were times when we would perform for people, and when the doctors couldn't save somebody, we were performing at their funerals. And when people had nothing, all they had was music and each other to connect with their lost loved ones. When when you couldn't take a pill for grief, they had the favorite songs of that they shared with somebody to rehumanize each other, and that's what they turned to. And so I had kind of an existential crisis during the really hard parts of the pandemic for a bit, but after a while, I think it showed me and gave me stronger convictions that, like, I'm glad I chose music. I do think that the music degree is worth it to have in every school. um, just to give people the experience to play music at the very least, even if not everybody is, paying their bills solely through music making later. Um, and so I feel like it's been so much more meaningful to me to see how important the arts and music are for people when science can't catch up fast enough, and so yeah, I feel like that's been another lesson I learned these few years, and trying to remind myself, like, there's beauty despite all of the trauma we feel like we face on our phones or in person.
That's
Well,
a
go ahead.
no,
Please, Leo.
no.
No, go, Leo.
Oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go so hard. I was just, you
Leo.
talking about the pandemic, and I guess I didn't think about it because I was working. It depends on the industry, but like it really, really affected how it kind of like turned academia on its head. Specific for a music department
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
Um, how did you navigate that? Because like the big part of just music is just being around other musicians and a teacher and a mentor. Like that's like you talking about it just made me realize like, oh wow, I didn't even think of like how much of an impact that must have had on, even to this day,
Mhm.
probably still affects you guys.
Yeah, I mean, definitely has affected us in terms of enrollment and in terms of I think students having messaging when they're choosing careers that, oh well, musicians were hit hard during the pandemic, so I don't want to do that, right? And why were we hit hard, right? The gig economy, because of the ways that we don't have basic needs met in most of the US. I mean, imagine if we all had universal healthcare and universal even like retirement, like something a little bit better than Social Security, or a lot better than Social Security. I think a lot of us would be talking about this very differently. Um, but I think a lot of students are scared to go into a career that doesn't have the government and doesn't have the state or like government support in ways that um, uh, other fields do. And sadly, the best supported fields are the ones that are supporting making, bombs and military weapons and things that, um, it's hard. I know a lot of our students go off to work for many of those companies and they make far more than me in their first job. But I don't know if I could feel okay with my knowledge and my skills being used to, you know, destroy parts of the world. And um I would say I'm like more of a pacifist. Like I'm humanist. Like I just don't want any like war. Like war is actually one of the worst polluters. And like when we look at carbon emissions, when we look at a lot of the issues we're having, when we look at the extractivism and the you know all the materials used to make those weapons, like what's destroying the world really is war. And we could do so much better with water and everything if we fixed those things and found ways to really promote peace above all. But anyways, sorry, I'm getting on tangents, but I feel like getting back
You're
to
right. No, 100%.
yeah, like the music making. I mean, I had just such a different experience. A lot of mariachis did, especially in LA, compared to other musicians. You know, I wasn't sleeping much. I was just gigging nonstop, and I was teaching asynchronous classes. And you know, I had quadruple the number of gigs that I normally do per year from January to March, 2021. After the biggest spikes in cases and deaths in Los Angeles, I had a year's worth of gigs and a year's worth of funerals in those 3 months that are usually the slowest months. And I was so burned out from playing, whereas all of my colleagues and all of the students were like, I didn't get to play music with anybody. I felt so alone. And I was like overwhelmed with being with people and witnessing their grief. And like, I mean, I've given talks at conferences, and I gave like a keynote lecture type of thing at University of New Mexico, and I made everybody cry. And like, I cry when I give those presentations because you think about the songs like Amor Eterno and things that you sing over and over again, and you're like imagining all of those funerals you witnessed and you attended happening. And you know, I lost people to COVID. Like Adrian lost people to COVID. I also lost people and like loved ones who, um, you know, couldn't get a hospital bed for other serious cases because of COVID. And you know, I know of neighbors of my family in Sacramento. They lost 20 family members because of COVID, like all in one full swoop. Can you imagine losing 20 of your family members in like a matter of months? It just devastating, right? And so um, I feel like my experience witnessing and participating in all of that and experiencing it was just so different from most of the faculty who didn't know anybody who died of COVID, you know. And it was especially jarring when I would be like on faculty meetings on Zoom in my car in between funerals, like on Tuesdays, like at Rose Hills or something, and um, you know, sobbing, and I would just have everything muted. I would just log on and check in and like in case I needed to answer anything. But um, that was really difficult to hear people like complaining about like, oh, I'm so upset my concert got canceled, and I'm sitting there thinking like I just played for like, you know, 100 people who are grieving, you know, all these people who passed away, and wildly different experiences despite living in the same area, but being from different demographics, it really taught you a lot.
That was the biggest thing, I think, in the middle of that pandemic was folks were like, music was one of them. Live concerts, live shows. People were itching to be to be in communion with other people. I mean, maybe not you because you were playing like triple the amount of gigs.
Yeah.
But yeah, people miss that. It was such a big deal. Speaking of gigging and mariachi, I just found out about this. Did you hear about this? They call it mariachi gentrification that's going on in like Mazatlan and Puerto
Oh,
Vallarta. There's like basically the places are getting gentrified by like American expats, and people are complaining about like restaurants that have been there for like 40, 50 years that have like mariachi bands, and
yeah.
they're giving them like noise complaints.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
some bullshit.
It's total BS. Yeah. I'm so glad. I love watching the bands, like the Sinaloa bands especially, like walk through and just play in the streets. They're like, screw it. Like, you know, go back to your country then if you don't like it. You know?
I love that it's the same rhetoric. It's like, oh, if you don't like it here, go back to your country. It's like what are you doing here? You know,
Yeah.
it. I was in Puerto Vallarta last year, and like talking to. I went on a fishing charter, and I was talking to a couple of the guys we were there. That were the captain and the skipper, el capitán and el. I don't know how you say skipper in Spanish, but
The first mate.
I don't even know either.
I don't know. Yeah, look
When you
up
look it up.
Gilligan's Island. It's such a weird.
3-hour tour.
Oh man,
Sorry.
let's not make
I
this a
love that
3-hour
show
tour.
growing up, but
Did you? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of Gilligan's Island.
It was at Nick at Night.
Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. That's the only way I know it. The lyrics are Amazing Grace.
You triggered me with that church song. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
The Lord is here. I mean,
He is with us. Adam,
Yes,
where's
I
he?
am. Here I
They're
am.
such a big part
Always
of
listening.
the economies of like really touristy areas, like are predicated on tourists, right? Or like built off tourists. But at the same time, they're also, you have like people that are like moving there and then changing the culture and the landscape and like, so it's such a weird thing because like some people make their livelihoods off of like these fishing charters and running restaurants, but then also allowing that brings in the gentrification and the like, I can't afford to live in the neighborhood that
Yeah.
4 generations of my family lived in, you know.
Yeah, tourism is like, you try to, it's so lovely to travel, but you try to like figure out like, how can I do this without contributing too much more to the problems. I think it's unfortunate that people like move someplace that's so cultural and they like it, but then they really don't like it and they just want silence and they want everybody to change to whatever cultural norms that are total BS, in most of the world. Like I love living in Pomona and knowing that if I have a mariachi party, my neighbors will come over and not call the cops on me.
Oh, that's
So
the best.
that's one of the reasons why I left Pasadena, because I loved Pasadena for like walking around and there's cool shops and restaurants, but like I went to one city hall meeting and like, man, I was like, oh, these are the neighbors that complain about the noise,
Yeah.
me practicing violin and
They
banging
were
on my door and stuff.
They were beating a horse that was hung up from a tree with a stick.
Right.
As long as it's before midnight. I gotta be up at 5 for work. I'm fine. It's before midnight. It's fine. If it's 3 in the morning and you still got a mariachi band going, let them go home and sleep. You should do the same.
The practice for years of like just sleeping through it. Like
yeah.
I'm at the point now where like I can fall asleep on the plane before we even take off, or like you just get used to like the kids who can sleep at the restaurants with the bandas playing.
Yeah,
it's a talent. They just pass out. They're like
just
like
perpetually
in
tired.
chairs.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I live in Oregon now, and Oregon's great. It's beautiful, but let me tell you, I grew up in Southern California in Corona. All my friends were Mexican. All the places I used to hang out with, or all the restaurants I used to go to were Mexican. I just miss like Mexicans. We don't have enough Mexicans. Oh, there's Mexicans up here, but not as many Mexicans. Every time I go back to Southern California, I'm like,
And I live right on the border of Santa Ana.
Thank you, Adam. I got to go to Vietnam to see that one Mexican, though.
Right.
That's true. There he is.
Oh, yeah.
Right
There's something about Mexican humor, too, that, like, just makes me laugh. Like, now we're going off tangent, but, like,
yeah.
One of the videos I saw was happened in Puerto Vallarta. There was like a really smooth jazz. It was all white people hanging out at this really nice resort, and there's just this like a block away. There's people like there's a mariachi band just like ripping as loud as they could, and you can barely hear the little smooth jazz band. It's like, oh, that's fucking great.
Right. I mean, they should have known. Like, why are you going to have the concert on the patio there? Like, it's indoor salon music. So, I'm just being bitter because I have a history with a classical guitarist who I shall not name. None of you know. This was from undergrad, but like,
why bring it up? No, I'm sorry.
It's not nobody listens to this podcast. You can say his name.
Even my instrument building class, I joke with the students that hornball sax is total BS because they classify a guitar and a violin in the same category. And I was like, but one's bowed, one's plucked, one's fretted, one's not. And so, and I just say, I'm very clear on that distinction because being a violinist who had an ex who was a classical guitarist, like I have many feelings about it.
Oh.
So, but anyways.
Makes sense.
But hey, you still like the guitars. You still like the guitars.
I know.
No, I'm just kidding. Man, say his name. Don't say his name.
No,
I'm
no,
just
it's
kidding.
okay.
Yeah, we'll keep. Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sure he'll
We'll
never
call
listen
him
to
Billy
this,
from
but
now
still.
on.
Oh, you're so certain. You're so certain.
No, I know he'll never listen to this. Kurt, are you kidding me?
No, you're right. Hey, we have 5 people watching our
Cool.
live stream right now.
Who else is watching? Any other comments or?
There's
It's late, too.
there are many
Yeah.
comments, no questions.
Oh,
A small conversation about the theremin
Nice.
with a user named Fatty McFatFat.
Nice, great
heart-
username, Fatty
A
McFatFat.
heart from
The
Nopoe,
best name.
Nopo number 9. Who
Hey.
we,
Nopo number 9?
he's a friend of mine.
Okay.
Shout out, Nopo number 9.
Thank you, Nopo number
Nopo.
9. Braden. And that's really it. And but it's nice to have. I mean, it's a long list, like a lot of comments.
Nice.
I haven't checked our stats in a long time, but I do remember we had a little stint. Our most listened episode was really big in like Bangladesh. So that's
It was
cool.
was it Bangladesh? I thought it was some. Well, either way, it was very indicative of like a streaming farm, like. Like Spreaker has a staff of people who just play their shows over and over to get more ad revenue.
Hell yeah.
Oh no.
I'll take it. Or maybe we're just
Right.
really popular in Southeast Asia.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you have sunglasses on, God?
He does.
I can't
I
tell.
do.
He looks like the porn channel on like channel 99 that you got on like cable TV. That's what he looks like.
When we were like 5 years old, just like streaming through the channels.
Oh,
Come
yeah,
on,
we're
the
just
learning image.
The 90s were the best, man.
Yeah.
Those were great.
Pixelated.
With like the
There was-
clicker.
I mean, seatbelts were barely even used, so it's like
Yeah.
You
Drinking out the
guys use them?
hose.
not in the back seats, no. And we used to ride in the trunk of the station wagon all the time.
Today?
Yeah. Oh, let me
That's
tell
what-
you guys about Vietnam.
Yeah.
So we ride on motorbikes.
Yep.
So a
Okay.
baby's child seat is just a wire frame that they put in the front of the motorbike.
Hell yeah.
It's just a wire. You just sit the kid there, wire frame, no seatbelt, no nothing. Just hope and prayers all day long. Just
Oh
hope
my
and prayers.
That's stressful.
It's so
And that's why
crazy.
you're there, Lord.
Yeah, they need
Yeah,
they
exactly.
need like a traffic spokes. Like we have Smokey the Bear, but they have like a Vietnamese version of that, but for like making sure your baby goes in the back of the bike and not in the front.
Yeah, it's like Timmy
Are there-
I don't know.
That's when they get older.
Like Bobby the
They
Banh
strap
Mi.
them on with a belt.
The Bond Me.
Dude, Banh Mi's are so fucking good.
I
You
do
have
like
no
them.
idea.
When I
Omelet
lived near
banh
Elite
mis.
Sandwiches, that was one of the most exciting like apartments I had.
Oh, Lee,
You
oh, I
live-
love Lee's.
You lived above
Best
one?
coffee
Oh,
ever.
I lived near Lee Sandwiches,
Oh.
the one on Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena.
I thought you
Oh,
lived.
yeah.
I thought you lived
It's
above
like
one.
Lake in Colorado. I lived around the corner. But,
I live like right between Santa Ana and Little Saigon.
mm,
So I got tacos and banh mi everywhere. And I'm like,
nice.
this is heaven. This is so nice.
That's a good mixture,
It's
my
a
man.
great place to be.
I would go as far to say that the Vietnamese perfected the French baguette. French baguettes are too
Mhm.
hard, like they hurt your mouth. Like they're basically assaulting the top of your tongue and like the top
They
of
just
your
like
mouth.
shred the top of your mouth.
Not a
Yeah, there you go.
Vietnamese.
It's a less
baguette.
tasty version of like Captain Crunch or something.
It's because of the steaming, man. They steam all the bread.
Oh yeah, they
Nice.
do steam all the bread. That's right.
Oh yeah.
I think you're right,
Less
Liam.
crunch.
Oh man, I hope we have French listeners. They're probably like, oh.
Well, now I'm definitely not listening to them even more.
That's a safe ethnic like stereotype that you can do. Like, I just played a pinball game called Oktoberfest. and they
I
had,
can
like,
do it.
Oh, are you French?
No.
Oh, no.
I'm British. No.
There's like those safe ones that you won't get like in trouble
German.
for, like German. All 100%. Yeah, we're playing this German pinball game called Oktoberfest. I'll send you guys a picture in the chat.
Please
but
do.
It's like the most cartoonish looking German guy, and he's and I was like, man, imagine if this was like I don't know. Never mind.
No, make your joke. You won't offend me.
I was just gonna say, imagine if this was any other ethnicity.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's.
You know what? Like,
I wasn't
honestly,
gonna pick one because then I.
Honestly, it's punching up. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Do it. What can us German us of German heritage say? How do we have the right to be offended?
No, yeah, you guys are.
You know what I mean?
We
Like,
get to make fun of you guys
do
for a
it.
good, I don't know, at least another like 15, 20 years. You guys
Call-
fucked up in the 1940s.
Call me anything you want, because yeah. Well, I knew this kid in school who like made some pretty. He called me like a Hitler lover once.
Oh my god.
Because he was just trying to be a
Wait.
jerk.
Hitler?
Yeah.
He called
Like-
you Kanye?
Basically.
But like I asked my dad, I was like, did we have family in Germany in the 40s? He's like, no, we came here in the 1830s in Iowa. And I'm like, all right, cool then. Whew.
No guilt here.
No
That's
guilt.
That's in Argentina too. I get like
Yeah.
a lot of I've only had a couple racist comments. I'm big on TikTok. Like I love TikTok, but I've only gotten a couple racist comments, and one of them was on me being a Nazi from Argentina. And I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, a bunch of like Nazis did expat to Argentina. But I was like, bro, what? Like
Even
the whole
like
country.
Guatemala. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
well, no, I mean they all went to South America, like
Yeah.
Brazil, Guatemala, Argentina.
Yeah.
There's a town in northern Argentina that my abuela went to on her honeymoon. It's called Bariloche, and it's like their little German town. And I was like, ooh,
We're everywhere.
yeah,
But you know-
prolific. No,
I actually one of the things I did in Texas was my friends and I were like having a throwback, and we watched Team America, which
my
I
God.
actually had never seen, but I watched South Park a lot, and so
Team America's so
The
good.
best.
it
The
was really
best.
good. And I love South Park. Like I don't know, I mentioned that to all of you that I wrote a paper about South Park.
We
analyzed
talked about
an
South Park
episode.
in college. I remember.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this teacher's awesome.
And it's still like brilliant to me to this day. Like they're so good at like criticizing pop culture like so quickly. And I loved that I had to read this book, like one of the only books about like South Park and The Simpsons, and all these academics were like, the world is ending, like these people are going to rot their brains by watching South Park. And it's like, if you're understanding South Park where you think that they're promoting the ideas of like Cartman, for example, like the joke is on you,
Yeah.
right? Like you're not supposed to be laughing with the characters. Like
Yeah.
if you're laughing with the characters, like that's like
Yeah.
you're the problem, you know?
Yeah.
But I love that so many things, like that episode about panpipes that I wrote about, you know, like the Peruvian government got really mad about it. Or we, you know, looking at like even how they portray like Kim Jong-il and North Korea, it's like, you know, he got really mad about it too. And it's like they're making fun of the stereotypes Americans have, and like you're laughing at how ridiculous the stereotypes and like the average like
Right.
ignorance that we have in the US about other parts of the world for all sorts of reasons. And but yeah, just thinking about like when to punch up or punch down, or like all this like these stereotypes. I think
Being
South
able-
Park's a good example.
Oh,
Being able to identify the target of the joke is important to
Yeah.
your own media literacy.
Yeah.
It's funny you brought that, like we're talking about, you know, different culture words. Let me get my words together. Bottom line, what I'm saying is Trey Parker and Matt Stone bought the last existing Casa Bonita. Did you hear about this?
Oh, in
No.
Colorado. Yeah.
So you know the Casa Bonita episode where
That was
Cartman like he
best.
tells Butters, he's like, it's the
Casa
apocalypse, so that he
Bonita.
can go to the birthday party at Casa Bonita. And
Butters
so
Butters gets invited to a birthday party, and Cartman doesn't. So he convinces Butters to like crawl into a cave underground.
it's a refrigerator.
And he's in there, and there's like a search party looking for Butters.
Poor
But then
Butters.
the friend is eventually like, "All right, I guess you can come to Casa Bonita, Cartman." And then it's that.
But so
Okay.
Casa Bonita, if you're not familiar, it's like this chain of like like Baja themed Mexican restaurants.
They
There's
have like cave
i-
divers inside
yeah,
of it, and, like,
indoor
a fake pool.
cliff divers, and there's like, and so it's like Mexican food, but it's like the Midwest, so it's like really bad. And so Trey Parker and Matt Stone, like it was a huge part of a bunch of Midwesterners' childhoods, especially in like Colorado. And so they bought the last remaining one, and they hired a chef from Mexico. She's like a Michelin star chef, and she's completely rewriting the menu. And they're like, okay, we're going for authenticity, and we're going to pay our workers a living wage so we can eliminate the tips. So it's just really cool. There you go. Yeah, Leo put it in the chat.
Nice.
But like what they're doing with the restaurant is really, really cool.
That's so cool.
And who knew that Matt and Trey were amazing musicians? They're great writers. They go on Book of Mormon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Bigger, Longer, Uncut. That was all. It was a musical.
I need to figure out if I can like revisit that paper and then try to get them to like, now that I'm not like a grad student and I will hopefully be a full professor soon. You know, at the upper echelons, as Leo said.
You put your finger up
maybe
too.
Maybe they'll let me interview them and like, but I don't know, because they're just, yeah, that would be cool. So talk about the panpipe episode, the pandemic episode. So
make us seem like we're a lot bigger than we really are. Like, yeah, you should come out. You never heard of just one song? Oh man,
the amount of work we'd have to do to get to that point is ridiculous.
To what point? To where people listen to us?
Yeah, right. No, but like we'd have to have at least a release a month, and then we'd have to have some sort of sponsorship. And like,
you know what? It doesn't matter. It's not quantity; it's quality. We've been doing this podcast for 3 years now, right? We started in the pandemic.
Yeah,
almost 4 years. Yeah. So that's fine. Wow. It's all right. Just let it keep going.
My goal is to get Jack
one of the
Black
guys
on
moved
the
to Vietnam and shit. Like, we're doing this, baby.
I've had 2 kids since the podcast started.
Damn, dude. You've had 2 kids. I'm just kidding. You're a dad? Yeah, you know, it'd be hilarious if you talked to those professors that you wrote the panpipe for the South Park paper, and they're like, you like confronted them about them, and like one of them had like a Cartman tattoo on his chest. You're like, you were so right this whole time.
I just didn't want to admit it.
We were so wrong.
Yeah, I should look up that book again. I just remember reading it on the Big Blue Bus and just like being like, man, these people have no sense of humor. Like, how did they come up with these theories about how screwed up millennials are because of South Park when like the joke is on that? So
we're pretty screwed up.
Written by people that are the ones that fucked up society. Like, that's my favorite. Like, millennials are spending too much money on avocado toast. Well, you shouldn't have fucked up the housing market, Karen.
Well, that's because we're killing the diamond industry. Not enough millennials are buying diamonds.
Yeah, because I don't want.
Everything's still about the millennials, but like they're talking about people really of the age of like Gen Z and Gen Alpha and like these other generations. I'm like, you know, most of the millennials were not like the youth that are, you know, doing whatever. Like, I mean, I feel youthful, but like, you know.
But did we not do stupid things at that age too? Did not every generation do dumb things in those ages? And like,
it just it's better documented now.
Oh, God,
like,
you're right. Poke9 says Gen Z are having kids now. You're right, they are.
Boomers at Gen Z's age were, I don't know, ruining the economy. I don't even know what they were doing. But no,
going to Vietnam.
They were going to Vietnam. They were doing dumb shit. Yeah.
Not like Adam was going to Vietnam. They were going to Vietnam in a very scary way.
Speaking of Vietnam, super fucking.
I just went to the winning team, man.
That's true. Yeah, we lost that one.
It was a tie.
Was not a tie. We definitely.
Henry Kissinger died.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of Vietnam, thank God that piece of shit died.
Yeah, won't be missed.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, him and OJ are having a cup of cocoa right now.
Well, I saw this joke.
Second OJ reference of the night, y'all.
Speaking of, I saw this joke says OJ can now finally rest. Nicole Brown's killer is finally dead.
Oh my God. I got to send you guys this meme.
So
I hope I have it. Hold on.
And
you can't
I saw one headline that said something about like Bronco, you know, because of his car. And I was just like, I like read it quickly and I was like, oh no, that's like, it just, you know, made it look like a Cal Poly connection for a split second.
The Onion had a head.
Can you guys see that one?
Oh my God. Yes. The Onion had a headline that said OJ was allowed to live because the coffin wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
there's
They're
not
so
enough.
fast. They're
Yeah.
so fast.
OJ's more timely. You can make a lot of good Kissinger jokes, but
It's
I just
true.
feel like OJ's more not even that contemporary.
I mean, he was acquitted.
If I
Legally,
walked
the glove
into the
don't fit.
office, I walked into the office saying that I was on a call and they were talking about OJ, and I was like, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. And then I got fired.
For
They're like,
real?
No, I did not. No.
I worked for the law offices of
Yeah.
what's his face Kardashian.
Music and civil government. There you go.
Right. The glove don't fit. Yeah. No Po 9 says now we have the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
That's true. We do have the
God
Kardashians.
damn it.
I did like that. What was that American Crime series they came out with, and they had like the whole like series for the O.J. Simpson trial. It
Was that
came out,
Cuba Gooding Jr.? Did he play OJ?
Yeah, he did.
was it him? Yeah, it was on Netflix. But I remember watching that maybe just before the
It was
pandemic.
a slapstick comedy.
Yeah, it's like
Sorry.
it's a feel good
So
one.
that's not.
No, I gotta watch that one.
Feel good rom com.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's the David Cross joke where he's like, I just saw Schindler's List and I only laughed about 3 times.
Terrible.
Which David Cross, I don't find him funny all the time, but he's got a couple really good jokes like that. He was funny with Bob when Bob Odenkirk was writing for him.
Oh yeah,
Mr.
when
Show.
they did Mr. Show.
Yeah.
Mr. Show was really funny.
Now he's just like angry dude with a beard.
Yeah, that's about right. Oh my God, that was solid. That's it.
Yeah. What are you listening to before we sign off for the evening? What's your what's on repeat on your
I mean, a lot of, I would say, like Lupita Infante and No Boy and the Camperos Sones album that they just came out with. I'm gonna look at my Spotify list. What was I listening to recently? Besides stuff I had to learn for gigs. Cowboy Carter.
so good. So good.
I'm really sad you all didn't take World of Music when I had a lecture for because I like beefed up my lecture for like Americana music. And so did I teach you all about Carolina Chocolate Drops?
You did.
You did.
Okay, so I did at least have some of that lecture. Okay,
Heck
so
yeah.
I feel like since the last like 15 years, I've gotten like more into country, probably through mariachi. And then like when I was playing in the old time ensemble that I have this sweater from, we did some of the repertoire. And so like I've been just like so into Afro-Latin music, like
Yeah.
like and so interested in it. And so I was really thrilled when Beyonce's album dropped, and Rhiannon Giddens is like one of my heroes or Shiros, and so yeah, I would say like Lupita Infante, Beyonce, and Mariachi Los Camperos, and then the No Boy album, their Empire Electric is really good.
Right on.
Damn.
Is that the Rhiannon Giddens? Is she the banjo player on American Carter?
Yeah, and Texas Hold'em, and I think some other tracks too.
Yeah. So how are you familiar with the game Red Dead Redemption?
No,
Whoa.
I've been playing Overcooked lately. That's
Oh.
how I get rid of my stress. Overcooked 2 is the best.
That's a fun one. That's the
Yeah.
one where you're like a little bear and you got to work with a team and make sure the fish doesn't burn and then chop the onion and the tomato. Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian and I just go, yes, chef, because after watching The Bear and like,
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a good one.
No Po 9 says that is such a stressful game. How does that get rid of your stress?
because I can throw stuff and jump off buildings when I'm stressed about it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That and Gang Beasts. I had like a really bad year last year, and Gang Beasts was such a fun Nintendo Switch game because you're just a blobby thing that's supposed to just like tear up shit, and you just like trash the metro station or do whatever, and it's like kind of hard to move gracefully, but it's a hilarious game.
That sounds like my
Gang
everyday
Beasts.
life.
Right.
Hard to move gracefully. Just moving
When
through
in
life.
Portland.
Gang bees. Yeah.
Leo's
Yeah.
Leo's referencing. He's talking about Red Dead Redemption, and
Yeah.
that is a far cry from either of the games we were just talking about. But in terms of the music in that game,
Rhiannon
at
Giddens
least
is the banjo player on that game.
is she really
She wrote
Oh.
most of the music for that game.
for number
Or
2?
not- for number 2. Yep.
Nice.
Wow. If you like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's on a PC, Xbox, or PlayStation, but it's
Okay.
beautiful game storytelling.
All
No
right.
Po9 recommends the Power Washing Simulator.
Okay, I'll try
Power
that.
washing simulator.
I'm
And
supposed to
tell
get
me,
Animal Farm or whatever to hang out, or is that
Animal
what it's called?
Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Oh my god,
Animal
Animal
Crossing.
Farm's a book that I liked, but
Get
anyway.
yeah. I played this this very Orwellian game
Yeah.
to relax about the corruptions of communism and Tsarist Russia. Animal
Anyway.
Farm is a stressful book. Good lord, thank you, No Po9.
No
If they
Po9,
play-
you should listen to Camperos.
Yeah, the Son album that they just put out.
Sonam. Okay.
So it's just like Sones. It's a black cover, but yeah, it's a great album. It's on
All right.
Smithsonian Folkways. So
Hey, let us know when
Nice.
you play a. Not to go back to video games because I love video games, but let us know when you set up your island on Animal Crossing, and let's connect.
Let's hang
all
out.
right. I'm gonna buy that soon. My mother's always like, why don't you get Animal Crossing? So I'll get it soon. So,
Oh,
Your
hey,
mom is
I wanted to
game shaming you.
mention,
She's game shaming you.
yeah. So
Noob. Thanks, Mom.
when my parents got us Nintendo, I was like 5, right? But I remember they all like sent us to bed early because it was Christmas or like Christmas break. And then after they sent us to bed, then all the adults were trying to play Nintendo, like my aunt and uncle and my parents, and we were all like, "Oh, like why did they send us?" But I was like the kid who, when I was 6, I beat Mario, and I would beat the game before Luigi got to play. I was really obsessed with old school Nintendo. But
Dang.
yeah. Up until like
Oh.
Zelda Ocarina of Time, and after that with college, I have not kept up. Like I tried playing Cuphead because one of my senior project students did a project on the music for Cuphead.
Oh, it's so good. It's like 19.
That game is so fucking stressful. I just lose it. I was like, Adrian, I can't play it. Like it's so hard. So,
Yeah.
It's like Charleston 1930s jazzy, like Django Reinhardt music, right?
mhm.
Yeah, that game is
yeah.
I watched a documentary. The creators of that game intentionally made that game like as hard as they could because they were like, games are too easy now, so we're gonna make them really hard. This game really hard.
Has he not played the Dark Souls franchise? Or I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. Are you not familiar?
No, I am. I
That was mean.
that was.
Donkey Kong Country has the best video game music, says No
Yes.
Po9. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
water
that's
all
level,
percussion.
the water
That's-
level in the Donkey Kong Country, that
Mm.
makes me feel feels like you're at the. Do you remember in Taco Bell in the 90s they had that thing where you drop the quarter in the water and you try to land it on that thing?
Yeah.
I feel like the music in the water level of the Donkey Kong Country is what it feels like to be the quarter falling through that thing. Taco Bell in the 90s. Good night, everyone.
You know what game I just started playing because it showed up on like the NES system, like you subscribe to whatever. I don't even know what I'm subscribing to. I'm paid for something so I can play NES and Super NES, but
Yes.
it's like $8 or whatever. But Snake Rattle and Roll. When I was a kid, I played that game and I played Bubble Bobble.
Oh, there you go.
Bubble
Bubble Bobble.
It goes da 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 da. It's just a shake, rattle, and roll song, but you're these like little snakes, and you have to eat like badminton type of ball things and grow a tail and like weigh enough to open the portal. But it was one of the first 3D games, and I got it for Christmas like when I was a kid, like years ago.
I'm looking at it. That looks like fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a little hard though, but I could beat that game as a little kid and just rock it. So I miss when I had that type of focus to just beat games like that and just lose over and over and over again. Now I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna play Overcooked now.
Time to go through a stress test.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're watching The Bear, you're like inspired to do that type of stuff. That show, top tier. I put it up there with Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But I loved Better Call Saul.
It's not even
but
done
only
yet.
after Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I need to watch Better Call Saul.
It's funny watching Better Call Saul after I did all my paralegal stuff because I'm like, he does so much illegal shit, like more than is stated in the show. I'm like, this is wild.
Oh, Kurt. I call Kurt for legal advice. I work for
No, you
I work
didn't.
for the city.
No, you didn't.
I don't. Well, no. He doesn't
didn't
give
you legal
doesn't give me legal
advice.
advice.
I'm not
He
an
doesn't.
attorney.
Hold on. Let me tell you. I'll call Kurt. I'll be like, hey man, I need to talk about. We had a PRO situation because we wanted to play music at a certain event, and I was like, I'm not sure if we have contracts with the BMI, ASCAP, yada yada. So we had a phone call. Kurt starts and he knows when I'm calling him for this shit. He'll be like, he'll pick up the phone. He won't even say hi, Leandro. He'll be like, just to let you know, I am not a legal attorney. This is not legal advice. You cannot take this as legal advice. And then when I go in my meetings, I'm like, yeah, my lawyer friend told me we can't.
See, I feel like if I was starting my degree again and I decided I wanted to stay in music, I would still lean towards ethnomusicology, but like maybe I wish that I could convince MIS students to take like law and some of these things more seriously, because we need far more people in these positions with laws arguing cases about like music, about rights, especially thinking about how like the copyright system favors some types of music and some types of musicians and not others. And so, yeah, I feel like that's a whole area that our department doesn't really talk about.
Well, they don't really have not the experience. Robert Teagarden did a great job. Sorry, go ahead. So go ahead, God.
God, yeah.
So God has a suggestion. Maybe we should put salaries of all the top paid people in each major, and then that way, you could just put lawyer right on top right there, so all the students know. All right, I want to go for that one right there.
Yeah. Adam reminds me of a cult leader right now. He's got glasses. He's in Vietnam.
We call him God.
He's very pixelated. Call him God.
Dr. Vallejo.
If you see me fully, you'll go blind. That's why.
Thank you for saving us. We took a careers in music class with you. It was my second semester there. And one of the people who spoke was one of Disney's attorneys.
Right. That was a connection with Dr. Miller, Michael Miller.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, he's coming into town. He can come talk. And so Michael Miller has always been really supportive of me, and because I covered a couple classes that he's also taught. So I could dig up his name, but he actually did a Zoom session for students this year in careers as well. Yeah.
So when I was going into the paralegal stuff, he kept popping up in my mind, like, because I told you before the show recorded just what we were dealing with, and I was like, well, maybe I should go into the law, because I had been doing intellectual property stuff in the music industry, and so that's kind of the focus, which is why I appreciate when Leo calls me with these questions, because it makes me do my legal research, and I'm like, I'm not your lawyer friend. But
I think that, and also somebody who can do taxes for gigging musicians, because everybody needs somebody who knows what to do, right? And I figured out a little bit how to do like my own 1099s, and so I can deal with my gigs on one side and my my W-2s and everything on the other side. And I'm a big spreadsheet person, so like I'm just hyper organized and like literally Ned Flanders style. If granted, I'm filing my taxes like Sunday, but I could have filed them on January 1st because I have all my stuff together, but then you have to wait for your W-2s to get, or whatever, your stuff to get sent.
Yeah.
But that's a career too that I think is far underserved, and everybody's always desperate to find somebody who knows somebody who can answer their questions. And if you had like a really easy like 10-minute consultation, like cheap enough fee to be like, yeah, let me help you through whatever, like that could be a lot of side gigs on top of like offering to do people's taxes. So when I fantasize about leaving academia, that's one of mine.
We need legal and contract experts and music focused CPAs.
Yeah.
That's actually, there's a need, and look at that. We could fill it. So Fatty McFat says, this is a great comment, but he says, Fatty McFat, he says, students should be paid. Students should have the power to create new majors and career paths. I think those are two different suggestions, and they may be worth exploring. But yeah, like, I think that's the feedback that the departments should look at. Like, Leo and Adam, I don't know if you participated in the feedback questionnaire about a year ago for Cal Poly Pomona, but
I loved that feedback questionnaire.
It was like a whole Zoom session. It was great. Yeah. But like, that should be the type of thing, like, okay, let's identify the needs that are out there today in order for the department to stay relevant, for universities to stay relevant in these types of areas of entertainment, I guess.
So, I guess like maybe I'm seeing it from a different perspective, but I feel like, so I agree. I'm just thinking like administratively, like where are we prevented from doing that, right? And so some of it is because of the way that programs are accredited. So because we have the NASM accreditation, we have to require X numbers of credits. And there's all these different ways we have to count up the units and the credits that students take and the types of classes that we offer. And I think that we could actually support that kind of like build your own major and those types of things more if we had more flexibility for professors to offer new classes when like a topic comes up and they're working in it. So like Dr. Shankler works a lot in with some AI stuff. And then I think like having the flexibility where they could have time to like prep that class and create a new class in a timely manner for like a new topic would be great. And to have students be able to take more electives so they could take the classes that interest them when they're offered, and like more interdisciplinary approaches too.
Yeah.
But it's definitely hard because the curriculum process is so, it's so laden with paperwork and review steps, and for good reason, to make sure that you all are also getting certain bases covered based on like pedagogy, like writing intensive and all of this stuff. But
I guess it seems like, no, please, I'm sorry.
I was just going to add one extra thought. I was almost done, but there are programs that sadly are being cut. It's places at like Evergreen and oh my God, there's this other place where somebody I know works, but it's real similar, where it's like super hippie type of university where like there's no grades and there's all these ways that things are like extra free and creative. Unfortunately, programs like that are being targeted as like not being business enough and not being lucrative enough. But it would be cool to, I wish we could do that. I think there's a lot of red tape on the federal and state levels that make it really difficult, even if faculty want to do it.
Well, it's the price we got to pay to maintain our great capitalistic nation.
I mean, it would be nice to, if there were more faculty who I think had that vision, I think it would be also easier to maybe like build some rotating schedule, but it's a lot of moving parts. If they do another alumni survey, I think finding ways that the university listens to students and alumni, because you all have the dollar power, right? Thinking of the capitalist society, we're just cogs in the wheel complaining. So I've been called like spicy and crazy and a bitch in the department, and in the campus.
Those are compliments in 2024.
Right. I'm just gonna get a big like pepper piñata for my office, and
that's what I look for in a partner.
Today
I want her to
be
spicy, chaotic, and a bit. We're spicy
or crazy, and whatever.
Ooh, dang! Yeah.
That's like, those are like sassy compliments.
Yeah, those are set
we interviewed the spicy crazy bitch queen. Dr. Jessie Vallejo.
It means that you're pressing the right buttons with the people who are status quo and white supremacist type of approach.
And if they do it again, you say, you laugh at South Park jokes for the wrong reason.
Right.
That's it. Fatty McFat says crazy is the best.
Yes, it is. Fat. Yes, it is.
Crazy is radical, you know. Not in the 90s term. Well, yeah, 90s term for radical.
I changed saying crazy to wild, and I just say wild all the time now. And I'll be at work
You're a
because people will be
wild
like, "Oh
woman."
man, dude, like fucking Tracy just left and she divorced her husband." I'm like, "Dude, that's wild."
That's
How do
bananas.
people react?
No, they're like, "Please stop saying wild." That's what they look at me that way. Yeah.
This
Well,
is a
My
very
wa-
serious
My
I
partner
used to say
subject.
wicked all the time, and because in
Wicked.
Syracuse you say wicked, but you also that's also a Boston thing. So everybody would be like, "Where are you from?
Wicked.
You know, Boston?" And I'm like, "No,
Wicked
but-
smart.
yeah, right." I love it. I'm
Wicked.
just gonna start saying wicked more. I'll say wild too. So then it's we'll normalize saying wild. You know,
Wild's good. We find out you're saying wicked all the time because you're promoting the new Ariana Grande movie.
or the musical, whichever.
Yeah.
I had to start saying like that's bananas because when I was a youth pastor, you have to tone it down. But I've said it at like really inappropriate. Like someone's telling me something like,
I struggle with
my
pornography.
cousin-
Like, dude, that's bananas.
No, I had a student be like, yeah, one of my best friends just died in a car accident. It was a head-on collision. Dude was drinking,
Oh.
and like they could barely identify him at the morgue. And I was like shocked, and I just went, I said, "That's
No.
bananas," and I'm like,
Your-
I'm so
your
sorry.
Your
It's
brain was like Beth,
Yeah.
dude, went through all the scenarios.
It
like,
went,
boop, boop, boop.
it went through muscle memory. I don't even know. I felt it was like days before they told me. And I'm like,
Oh.
that's bananas. And immediately I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I'm so, I don't know. It's a habit.
You know, it'd be crazy if they were like, they did hit a Chiquita banana truck. That's how they died.
Stop.
That's why they got in the accident.
That's
Because
how they got it. They slipped on a banana peel.
they're
My
playing
friend
Mario,
is Mario Kart.
Hot damn.
That is a fun game. That's one of my favorites. We
It's
used
a
to
good one.
have tournaments of Mario Kart
Double dash.
N64 in our dorms,
Oh,
and
64.
so we would drag our like the one person's TV out with the system, and we would all like sit in the hallway at the end of the hallway and just play. And the RA would be like, "The fire marshals won't like that, so like just pick it up before the morning."
We'll race them for it.
Go to bed, nerd. We're having
Nerd.
fun. Yeah.
Fire marshal.
Fire marshal would like it.
I'll just pour water on them. See what they have to say.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Vietnam, dude.
Vietnam.
Vietnam, baby. Oh,
The fucking Catalina wine mixer.
damn, dude.
Vietnam, baby.
Old timey music club. What is it called? The UCLA
Old time
Old-timey-
string.
old time string band.
So I recorded
Time
back
is
with
old.
vocals on the album we recorded. We were the UCLA Bluegrass Hoppers. Yeah.
I love that,
It
and I
used
love
to be on
bluegrass.
CD Baby, but I don't know if it's still on there anymore. But my voice was too loud for bluegrass because I overpowered the other women when we did trio stuff. But then in mariachi, I was never loud enough. So that was a fun year of like trying to play between the two different styles and stuff.
Yeah, bluegrass harmonies are hard to do.
They're high too, and like I guess I'm a soprano, but it's high all the time. I just feel like my voice gets tired. So
Bluegrass is not an easy genre either. Yeah, that's tough. I love watching bluegrass.
I was like surprised to learn that what I thought was bluegrass my whole life. In your class, you're like, no, that's not at all bluegrass. That's just folk and finger picking. It has to be like, I remember it was like a, sorry, Fatty McFat points out that someone said hi all the time.
Yeah,
So,
I was thinking. Thank you, Fatty McFat.
Thank
I was thinking. Yep, stay high
But
all the
it's-
time.
It's supposed to be like the sad, brooding, high pitched, like very specific definition type
high
of music.
lonesome sound. Yeah.
Yes, high lonesome sound. Thank you. High all the time.
High all the time sound.
I didn't last because I was high all the time.
Yeah. Couldn't keep up with them because I was
all
high
the
all the
time.
time.
Thank you, Dr. Vallejo.
You gonna start make your own bong class?
No.
No?
I'm asthmatic, so that doesn't work for me.
Do they make those in the
Oh.
library?
Gummies, you can do gummies.
Only if it's
yeah.
an instrument at the same time, right?
Only if it's an instrument.
Yeah.
It's a woodwind.
Right? It'll make the gurgly
got the
sound
holes.
and
In your ethnomusicology studies, did you ever find anything like that, where it was used for imbibing psychedelics, but also for as an instrument? I feel like there has to be.
Kumis.
I mean-
No, wait, that's just the drink.
I'm sure there's some. I did in the communities where I worked, and I guess I still work. Like usually, there was nothing like that. You know, in Quechua communities, like you might have a lot of like drinking of like chicha or like corn beer. You know, sometimes liquor, a lot of times like soda, Coca-Cola as well. But not really any other drugs like that. And in with the Mohawk teachers I was working with, and working in like elementary school classrooms, that was like very, very G-rated. So I did not choose like the party music and the field work where like you might do Molly or ecstasy or anything like that. Like, none of that. So
No peyote.
no, I did try the tea once, just a tiny bit. But I didn't overdo it too much because I with my seizures and like the medications
okay.
I'm on, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
let's not
You just
test
cut
this.
every joke I was gonna make off at the knees. I'm like, okay, no, I'm done.
Good.
It's okay. I mean, I like Beavis and Butthead too, and that one episode where they're like crawling across the desert.
Isn't that the movie? David Letterman plays the dad.
Speaking of psychedelics, I had a friend give this to me for my birthday, and I thought
Okay.
it was just regular chocolate.
It's magic Belgian chocolate.
Is
It's
it like?
polka
Wow.
dot.
I've had
It's,
those like magic
It's open.
my God.
Ooh,
cinnamon French toast.
supplement.
It is it's psilocybin. It is magic mushrooms.
Oh wow!
How is it?
I haven't had it yet, but we were at the
Oh.
pinball arcade, and I was like, "Babe, I thought this was like a chocolate that she really wanted to try." So I started to open it, and my drummer was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Read the back." And then I looked at it. I was like, "Oh, thank God I didn't eat that entire," because I was about to just mow down on it.
Yeah.
I
I think
I'm saving this.
the only time I did an edible where it affected me, and actually it was like 16 hours. I did not know the right dosage. I watched Casa de mi Padre, and then all of a sudden I was like,
Classic.
Nice.
oh, this is how you tell what a stoner movie is, like, because
Yeah.
I never. But that was a good time. And then Adrian's mom saw us like finishing the movie, and we're like,
I dropped it. I took an
So you
edible.
watched for 8 hours, huh?
it was like 16 hours. I just remember watching the sun set for like several hours. And
Yeah.
I'm terrified to do more edibles after that because
Oh, so that's the fun part. Like, so you gotta dose it right, like, because sometimes edibles will make you like it feels like God is punishing you like the entire time. Like,
Stop it, Adam. Stop it.
What'd I do? I didn't do anything.
it's very oppressed. But the times that you dose it right, it's great. But
Yeah.
like on the other side of it, there was a time I took an edible. I was at a music festival, and this girl I was with, she like took an edible out, and I just popped it in my mouth. She gave it to me, and then she went in her purse to look for something else, and I popped it in my mouth, and she like looks up from like going through her purse, and
no.
she's like, "Where's the edible?" And I was like, "I ate it." She was like, "Oh no, that was for like all of us." And I was like, "Oh man, I was high for like a day."
yeah.
Oh,
But
oops.
at the end of it, though, when I came out the other side, and I was like, "What?" I was lost. I couldn't get back to my tent. I didn't know where I was. At the end of it, like when I was like, when you're that high too, and Dr. Vallejo, you probably were like this. You were like, "Oh, I guess this is just how I'm gonna be now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be this is how I'm gonna be the rest of my life. I better
Right.
get used to this."
I'm gonna lay
Um,
here and watch the sunset, and am I still alive? Like it's basically your
yeah.
inner dialogue.
I stuck in here forever.
When you come out of it, you are so grateful. You're like, "Oh my God,
Yes.
I survived. And like, what did you do? Just lay on your couch for fucking 8 hours? Like,
I watched Casa de mi Padre, and then I went upstairs and laid down and watched the sunset, and I don't even remember.
yeah,
You had a very lovely experience.
yeah. That sounds like a great night.
You were in no
honestly.
danger.
Yeah.
I highly recommend watching Casa de mi Padre sober and stoned. Let's just say
I've
that.
only seen it
All
sober.
right.
That's the Will Ferrell movie, right?
Yeah. And he doesn't speak Spanish, but he's like speaking the Spanish lines, so like he memorized them. But when the Virgin Mary is like flashing, like that scene, I felt like I lived in that scene for like a year because it was just, you know,
That sex scene must have taken forever
I don't remember.
with the dummy. Oh, why would you?
Oh.
The Fatty McFat says, "Masters in holistic music therapy and ceremonial psychedelics much? Call me doctor." Hey, Fatty McFat, do we
I
know
like
you,
Fatty McFat.
Do we know you in real
Right.
life?
I don't know, but I really
Yeah,
like.
he's
this
one of my
person.
buddies.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it one of your friends?
Yeah, he's from junior high, one of my best buddies.
Nice.
Oh,
All right, cool.
Fatty McFat's dope.
I'm
So
glad
dope,
that
Fatty McFat.
some people heard this part of the conversation because I feel like after the fact, I don't know if people are going to listen for all 2 hours and then like,
They do.
yeah,
We have 4 viewers right now.
nice.
But
This
I'll
might
post
be
it,
this
we'll
might
watch
be a couple episodes. We might be able to get one.
I'm gonna break it
2,
up. Probably
maybe
2
3
or 3
episodes out of it. Yeah.
Well, we right now I have the session at 2 hours and 24 minutes, and then there was an additional like 15 minutes before that I had to stop because of technical issues because of the sharks in Vietnam.
The sharks in
It's
Vietnam.
my godly beauty that didn't allow the camera to pick up.
The camera couldn't do it.
everything, you know? No,
That's right.
couldn't do
That's right. Foiled again. We can only imagine how beautiful you are. I can only imagine. No, sorry.
Adam, every time I talk to you, I want to move to Southeast Asia. I want to move to the Philippines
Dude.
now.
I have a second bedroom right there calling your name.
Oh, nice.
You
I
don't get
could
to bring
do that.
any of your stuff though.
Yeah, none of my stuff, my cats or my wife. It's just me and Adam now. No.
Yeah.
I
Bring me
might
down.
move to the Philippines.
Just one song. we're now.
Just
we're
one
now.
song.
You can bring all your
Timing is-
instruments.
Oh no.
It is a brutal flight.
24 hours.
We're at 12:30.
All right.
Folks,
Shall
I
we
need
call
to
it?
say goodnight. Dr. Vallejo, thank you so much for being on our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I hope we covered the burning questions everybody had about academia, and talking about South Park, Nintendo.
It was exactly what we dreamed.
Yes.
Even better.
We've
Everything
been
and
wanting
more.
to just have an in-depth conversation about it for a long time, and so
Yes.
thank you for
With you
accommodating.
specifically, we really love you and
Mhm.
appreciate
Oh,
you.
thank you.
And we talk about you all the time. You're so inspiring and you're doing such great work. And I can only imagine we were the first class you had. All the other students' lives that you've been changing in the last 8 years since we were able to have you as a teacher. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Fatty
Really
McFat
appreciate it.
says, "Thank you, doctor," and he agrees. Yeah, we love you.
Oh, thank you.
And
I mean-
NoPo9 texted me. He's really enjoying the show.
Okay, awesome. It definitely like that first class and like those first few years, I feel like they always stick with you, right? Because you're
Mhm.
constantly reflecting and it was just fun being kind of like similar ages, similar sense of humor, and just like having a blast, and nobody was worried about what was on the test. It was just like, here's this other cool shit to talk about. And so I really have enjoyed seeing all the cool things that you all are doing in music and not in music, because this is how life pans out. A lot of times it's nice to have different chapters, and it's really wonderful to see what you're all doing, and that thanks for inviting me to just, I don't know, chat about silly things and serious things late at night.
Anytime.
So,
Anytime. If you want to be an unpaid consultant for the show,
sure.
We'll
Getting your
submit
PhD
an.
and getting a tenure track job, it's like basically saying you'll be an unpaid consultant.
there you go.
Ah,
You're already good at it.
Yeah.
So
And so
good.
Animal
So many years of
Crossing and
experience.
Overcooked soon. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, this has been a great episode. This is going to be fun to edit. Give me a couple weeks.
Okay.
I'll probably chop it up and keep working. This is the first one where we'll actually have the video posted. So
Oh, nice.
we'll be on YouTube, on our YouTube. That's the only one. What else we got?
Can you
Clips?
send me the YouTube link to our
The
channel?
YouTube.
Yes.
I can't wait
Yes.
to see what Adam looks like on the YouTube.
He looks exactly as you see him.
Blurred. I look like my emotion faded.
You do. You do.
Damn, Adam.
Go check out Casa de mi Padre then.
Casa
Casa de mi
Bonita
Padre.
and
Oh yeah. We'll
Los
plug
Cam-
the 10-year-old Will
Camperos.
Ferrell movie.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want to plug?
Oh, what
Your
do I call it?
website.
Worldmusictextbook.org.
Got that one.
Um,
Worldmusictextbook.org.
I guess Lupita's recent album, the Camperos recent album, and then Nono Boy recent album, their recent album, and they're based near you all.
Except for me.
Oh right,
That's true.
well, let's see, because Nono Boy's up in Portland. That's where their hometown is now.
They are?
Yeah, but they're on tour right now. I think they're in Minnesota this week, and they're going to be at UCLA on May 2nd. So I'll be at that concert.
Oh my god. Should I get them for El Tigre?
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
Ooh.
How do you spell it?
So Nono Boy. If you look up, I think it's nonoboysongwriter.com is his main site.
Okay. Yeah.
That's Dr. Julian Saporiti, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No boy. Okay.
And then
So do the
Lupita
mariachis
Infante's, Mariachi Los Camperos, they have like a Sones album on Spot and Smithsonian that just came out.
Nice.
Sones de Mariachi, and then Lupita Infante's recent album is it's like a classic, like throwback. Lupita, what's it? Amor como en las películas de antes. So love like in the, like in the old films.
Oh, nice.
All right.
I'm gonna ask John. Do you remember John Lades?
Yes.
He's our talent buyer for El Tigre. I work with him.
What? So
We still
moved
got
up
to
to
interview
Texas?
him.
No, I bring him up here every year.
Oh, okay.
So in the city was like, hey, we want to put a Latino music festival on, and I was like, well, I'm gonna put like a legit one on, and I started working with John. But yeah, he comes up every year.
Nice.
He had a talent. His agency was called Cielo. I think he still does stuff with it, but he basically got his roster bought by not Epidemic Sounds. Epidemic.
That's awesome.
Epic Sounds. But yeah, he helps us out with talent buying, and he runs the stage, and he's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
But I'll mention Nono Boy to him.
Yeah. He's great. And he does he puts a lot of his research into songs rather than articles, because he's like, people are excited if like 3 people read your dissertation or like a bunch of people read your articles. But like you could be at a concert with like hundreds of people and they're all jamming to your songs about, your research basically. So
That's tight.
I try to use his work and the Carolina Chocolate Drops as an example to students of like, you can do serious research and then find ways, like creative ways to express it and to share it, writing is great. Like I love writing my articles, but like, I love listening to these albums too and learning more. So yeah. Highly
Fascinating.
recommend it. So
Well,
but,
thanks for joining us on Just One Song, and thank you for the music recommendations.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, thanks so much.
Signing off.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have
Enjoyed
any gigs coming up?
Gigs. Well, I'll give a cameo appearance on May 2nd with Nono Boy at UCLA at the Fowler Museum. The mariachi class is performing on April 30th, and I don't have any other major events, like public events booked, just so far like backyard parties and things like that. But
The best.
We'll crash them.
Awesome.
All 3 of us. I'll book your flight, Adam.
Yeah, one's in Baldwin Park tomorrow, 6:30 to 8:30. So
Oh,
I won't crash
party.
that one.
That sounds so much fun.
I could.
It will be good food.
yeah,
That's true. I'll be there.
But
sounds good.
I'll find it. I'll use Follow My Nose. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, and good night to our wide audience too, and good afternoon good morning to God over
Good morning, Vietnam.
there. The current students wouldn't get these jokes either, so I feel like
Yeah.
Not at all.
you know,
They'd be
Generation-
It's
like,
okay.
they'd be like, ew, what is that?
What's
Right.
Vietnam?
she's
Yeah,
so
What's
nerdy.
Robin Williams?
Who's Henry
Right.
Kissinger? Is he on TikTok?
How many views
I'm
does
on
he have?
TikTok.
Drink apple
on
juice
TikTok.
because OJ will kill you. Sorry.
Third
Sorry.
OJ, fourth OJ joke
Was
of
the
the
last
night.
one.
Hey,
Hey.
on that. Hey,
On
I'm gonna
that
have more
note,
of my rosé all day. Waterloo.
they said water lube, water-based lube. Alright,
No.
it's my
No, please
water-based
edit that.
lube. Yeah,
That's
no,
our
leave that
other-
in.
that's our other podcast.
No, that's our other sponsor. I would love to have a.
It's
Just
probably pretty
one song.
lucrative too. So
Yeah,
Right?
especially as you get older. No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Ay, ay, ay.
He said,
Education. We're learning.
Hey,
unless this is going to be a blooper, I don't know.
a blooper, water-based lube. Yeah, a blooper.
There are no
A blooper
bloopers
is like
here.
a blooper's
blooper.
cute. Yeah, a little blooper, little blooper.
Make it happen, Lord. It says
Blooper.
Fatty
I
McFat.
hardly even know her. Okay, so yeah.
Love our
It's getting late
show.
over here on the West Coast. Apparently.
Yeah, I'm
Reminds me
surprised
of
that
class.
the ethics police haven't shut Adam down from this in Vietnam.
He's not saying it.
Oh, that's right.
And he's God.
Yeah, God can say whatever. he wants.
exactly.
God knows all. Just won't
God.
tell you. All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
This
is just
Good night,
one
listeners.
song.
Nah.
Good night.
Logging off.